Brilliance Audio presents Cold, Dark Places by Kylie Brant. Performed by Christina Traister and Andrew Iden. Eryn was very quiet. Mama hated to be woke up at night. She was always at her crossest then, her voice sharp, with edges that scraped and burned. And sometimes, even when it was morning, Mama couldn't wake up. She was so sleepy, Eryn couldn't shake her hard enough or say her name loud enough to make her open her eyes. Mary Jane always shooed her away then and said Mama needed her sleep. Then she shut the door, and Eryn couldn't talk to Mama until after lunch. But lunch was a long time away now. The sky through Mama's windows was still dark, except for a fat moon and sprinkles of stars. Clutching her sketchpad, Eryn crawled on her hands and knees to the side of the bed, quiet as a mouse. Mama said a big 9-year-old girl didn't need to be climbing into bed with her. But Eryn could sit here, close. Mama didn't have to know. The bed covers were bunched and hanging from the mattress because she always kicked them off. In the mornings, Eryn liked to come and hide in the mound where they curtained to the side. Mama didn't mind her there then, as long as she didn't get disturbed until a decent hour. Eryn hadn't been able to fall asleep tonight. There was a racket in her head, the noises ping-ponging until she had to move, had to shake them loose. When she'd first slipped from bed, she'd whirled and spun and skipped around her room until the twitchiness in her arms and legs had gone away. Then she could concentrate. She'd already finished 2 drawings tonight, but this one would be better. It'd be the greatest thing she'd ever done. Mama framed Eryn's best works and hung them on the wall, but only if they were perfect. Eryn burrowed into the draping sheet and comforter. Soft pleats of fabric tented around her, but she could still peek out. She laid her sketch pad on the rug in the slant of moonlight.
When the jacked-up cherry-apple-red dually truck roared past him doing an easy 80, Haywood County Sheriff Ryder Talbot flipped on his light bar and accelerated down the blacktop. The driver of the truck was well known to him, and ticketing Francis Gilly Gilbert could be considered a part-time occupation for his office, mostly because Gilly was a congenital dumbass, the byproduct of a disgracefully shallow gene pool. And when he had a few beers in him, little things like speed limits and noise ordinances completely went out of his head. The mobile radio crackled from its position on the console beside him. "Ryder, you done with the regional task force meeting yet?" Wilma Young, substitute department dispatcher, asked. Ryder kept an eye on the truck he was gaining on as he picked up the transmitter. "Been done. I'm on my way back to town after I deal with a speeding motorist." "Well, if it's Gilly Gilbert, Lord knows he'll keep till another day. Everyone's tied up on the other side of the county, and I just took a call from Eryn Pullman. He's got an ugly situation brewing out at his place. He needs someone to crowd control. Donnie's closest, but he's still 20 minutes out." Crowd control? The Pullman place was in a rural area on the eastern part of the county. The closest thing to a crowd the property would ever see was a group of bicyclists going by. "I'm 10 minutes away." Ryder turned off his flashers and slowed, waiting for an opportunity to make a U-turn as Wilma continued. "It seems some people in the area aren't too happy about—" All too aware of the number of residents in the vicinity with scanners, Ryder interrupted the overly chatty substitute dispatcher. "Fine, Wilma. I've got this." As he headed toward the Pullmans, he reflected this was another reason for the updated encrypted communications system he needed to purchase. It wasn't just nosy civilians wanting to know what was going on throughout the county he had to worry about. Criminals were getting savvier about monitoring the whereabouts of his deputies. Another thing to put on his wish list when it came to budget time. 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan hadn't prepared him for the bureaucratic nightmare of the reams of paperwork that consumed too much of his job. Of course, it would also help if he could avoid using Wilma to fill in when his regular dispatchers were unavailable. The woman had retired from the office nearly 10 years ago and was a product from another era. He passed a white van with a satellite dish on its roof, noted the familiar logo on its side. For the first time since he'd gotten the call, trepidation pooled in his gut. Ryder would like to think it was just chance he was heading in the same direction as the vehicle from the local news station, but he'd never believed in coincidences.